So imagine this, you have a journal that's sitting right next to your bed, and yet you still scroll through social media the last few minutes before you go to sleep. Why do we do this? If you've ever read anything on the internet about self-care, there is a good chance that journaling is on literally every single list. Even if for whatever reason you're not on the internet, if you've ever talked to any well-rounded individual, or really anyone that's trying to better themselves, there is a good chance that they'll say something that they do every day is journal. I really don't have to go into reasons why journaling is good for you. It improves memory, emotional regulation, it relieves stress, increases self-awareness, apparently improves your immune system, and so much more. So much more. Like I said, I don't even have to go into it. We already know. Now my question is, if this journaling business is so good for you, why is it something that is so hard to stick to? At least for me it is. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Isatu, and in today's video I want to talk about journaling and why it's been so difficult to stick to. This is my journal. My first entry was on February 20th, 2021, right? My most recent entry was from September 14th of this year, 2024. The entry before that was on September 6th. Yeah, September 6th of this year. But then the one before that was from back in April 24th. And all the previous ones prior to this was like at least a month apart, right? Now, I'm not even exaggerating when I say that I think to myself every single day that I want to write in my journal. Like every single day, I'm like, I need to put in a journal entry. I need to do it because I know it's good for me, you know? I think I even have multiple journal entries in here talking about the fact that I want to actually be journaling regularly. And lately I've been thinking more so about like the why. Like, why is this something that I simply just have not been able to stick to? Like, why is this something that I put off so much, even though it's actually something that I genuinely do want to do? And I say put off because I will literally do anything else instead of journaling. Like, I will work out, I will play with Kobo and Kia, I will lay down and stare at the ceiling, I will cook, I will clean, literally anything else. And I think that's the key here, avoiding. So I've come to realize that I'm actually very avoidant, at least when it comes to emotions. When journaling, you're encouraged to lay all your emotions out, be vulnerable, let it all hang so you can work through it. And honestly, that's kind of terrifying. Taking all my deepest emotions out of here and putting it on paper for someone to possibly stumble across and see. What goes through my mind when I'm about to write something super personal is like, what if God forbid something happens to me tomorrow and my family comes to my place to like sort through my things and they stumble upon my journal and find my journal entry from like back in May 13th of 2022, and they see that I actually didn't have a good time at this event that I said was really fun, and just like a bunch of scenarios, right? I know it's a silly example, but like you get the point, right? Like, what if somebody finds it and reads everything and finds out all these things? And on a side note, do you guys remember those scholastic like book fairs or book orders back in like elementary school? My sister and I would get so excited for it and literally go straight to the journal and diary sections because they were always so cute, and we especially loved the ones that had the little locks on them. It's funny how even back then I was so drawn to like actually journaling and writing and putting my thoughts out. And yeah, can you imagine all these years later I'm still struggling to actually be able to consistently write down my thoughts and feelings? And yeah, I'm just wondering, like, why is it so difficult? The other reason I find it difficult is sometimes it can feel a bit like silly, if that makes sense. Like, how is this simple thing supposed to improve my well-being, right? Meanwhile, there are literally countless research studies out there that specifically prove this, but I'm still over here like, really? How is me writing about the mundane happenings in my daily life supposed to open the door for processing deeper emotions? Okay, when you think about it, it definitely makes sense, but still, I'm very much questioning it. And like, when I start writing and I'm writing something, you know, very simple, like today I did this and this and this, in the back of my mind, I'm asking myself, like, really, like, this is what you're gonna write about? Like, you don't have anything bigger you want to talk about? But then at the same time, I'm also like, yeah, like, what's wrong with that if I'm just writing about the silly little things that happened in my day? And the thing is, I can't even latch onto lack of time as an excuse because it's simply not. I even have my journal positioned above my bed so that I have easy access to it when I wake up and before I go to sleep, so I can actually journal instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media. But guess what I do instead? It's not journaling. So yeah, time here isn't the issue. The funny part is I actually do enjoy journaling. Once I actually jump through all the hurdles and actually put pen to paper, I will sit there and write for like at least an hour because I have so much to say, so much I want to get off my chest. But it's just that initial hump of like actually getting started. And it actually feels good. Like in that moment after I'm done journaling that entry, I understand what all the hype is about. I'm like, wow, so this is what everybody means. And I'll be thinking like, can't wait to do it again. But then when the time actually comes and I have an opportunity to do it again, I'm there laying down staring at the ceiling and just not doing it. Ultimately, because journaling is arguably one of the best things you can do to improve like your mental and emotional well-being, it's definitely something that I want to get into the habit of doing consistently, something that I want to stop avoiding. Here's how I plan to do that. Firstly, I'm gonna stop putting so much pressure on myself. Guess what? It's perfectly okay to talk about the boring, mundane parts of my daily life. Not every journal entry has to be this, heavy emotional dump or discussing like an existential crisis. I could literally just talk about what happened today, right? And on that note too, my journal doesn't have to be a negative emotional dumping ground. I could also make it a positive emotional dumping ground. But the thing is, whenever I do like feel drawn to journal, whenever I'm inspired to journal, it's usually when I'm having negative emotions, right? So I need to actually practice coming to journal when I'm having positive emotions. It doesn't always just have to be it doesn't just always have to be negative. Another thing too, maybe physically writing with like a pen and paper just isn't what works best for me. I was watching this one YouTube video and she was talking about how she uses an app called Day One, I believe, and she's been using it for years and it works really well for her. But then that also takes my mind to what if that service gets hacked and their users' entries gets leaked and then everyone's journal's entry is out there for the world to read and then, chaos ensues. But in reality, first of all, what's the chances of that happening? And second of all, I've said it before and I'll say it again, nobody cares, right? Like literally nobody cares. And also my brother is developing like a journaling app as well that you can record like video and text entries, or you can record video, you can put video entries as well as text entries. So that'll be something I could try as well and see if it works better for me. And then my sister had also mentioned how she'll sometimes record voice memos to capture like her thoughts in a moment, especially like when she has a lot to say, because when you're recording it, you can just get things out faster instead of writing it. Like she does also enjoy writing, but in moments when she just, writing is just going to take too long and she just wants to get it out, she'll just record like a voice memo. So that's another thing. But all in all, just like a digital form instead of actually writing things down it could just reduce that barrier a little bit, right? To my earlier point of someone finding my journal, what could ease my anxiety is arranging for someone to come and destroy it in the event that something were to happen to me. Let me explain. On the Office Ladies podcast, Jenna talked about how she has an arrangement with her best friend, Angela, that if anything were to happen to her, Angela's responsible for burning all her journal entries, right? Because she's written about things that she genuinely doesn't want anyone to read. Not her husband, not her best friend, not her kids, not anyone. So the arrangement is if, something happens to her, immediately her best friend is supposed to go and like burn all her journal entries. So for me, having that type of backup might give me permission to open up a little bit more. But on the other hand, though, I also think your journal could be a source of comfort for your loved ones, like if they are going through things and they find your journal and they can read it and take a look into like your deeper thoughts and emotions, that could, but I won't even get into that. It's a different topic. And with regards to somebody possibly finding my journal, I feel like that's part of the reason why I'm not being fully honest, if that makes sense. I'm definitely writing out, my emotions, things like that, but it's always like, I don't know how to explain it. It's always kind of a step back, it's always kind of, I don't want to say surface level because it's not surface level, but I don't fully pour myself out there because it's like somebody might find it. I don't want to put all of that out there. It kind of reminds me of the show Beef. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it. But in the show, one of the main characters, she goes to therapy. or like couples counseling with her husband, and she's going over, or she's discussing with the therapist like her childhood and how she thinks it contributed to the way she behaves now. This is that. It all sounds very good, right? It sounds very like therapy speak. It sounds very like self-aware. It sounds all those good things. But at the same time, it sounds like she's just trying to pass a test, if that makes sense. It sounds very not rehearsed, but it sounds like she's saying what she knows the therapist would want to hear. She's saying what she knows would fly with the therapist, or like she's saying what should be said during therapy, right? And it's not completely honest, even though there's a lot of truth to it. She's not being completely honest. She's not being completely transparent. And later on in the season, towards like the finale, she definitely does get more honest when she's talking to like her arch enemy. But I say all that just to say that like I feel like that's how it is for me when I'm writing in my journal. Like it sounds good, it sounds reflective, it sounds, you know, self-aware, this and that, but there's still like a layer of like I'm not being fully honest, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Anyways, moving on. Another way to encourage daily or at least regular journaling is by using prompts. All of the entries in my journal right now are completely lawless. Like they're not guided, they are not organized, there's no prompts. It's literally just me rambling about whatever is on my mind. And although that's not a terrible approach, clearly it's not working because this journaling thing hasn't stuck, right? So Bintu, if you're watching this, I'm eagerly waiting for those journal prompts that you promised. If there's anything that I've learned in this life, is that the things that benefit you the most do not typically come easily, right? It's not easy to go for that grilled chicken instead of the fried one. It's not easy to get that planned workout in instead of watching that one extra episode. It's not easy to write in your journal before bed instead of scrolling through social media. Research shows that it can take anywhere from 21 to 66 days of doing something regularly for it to actually become a habit. Therefore, if we can thug it out for like a month or two, by the end of it, we should have this journaling thing down pat, right? We should be able to implement it as like a regular part of our daily lives. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because it's probably already gone on for way too long. If you've made it this far in the video and you're an avid journaler, please leave me some tips in the comments on how you stay consistent. What is your favorite journaling method? What's something that you've learned about yourself from journaling regularly? Leave it below in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And to those of us that are still trying to make this into a habit, let's just remember that it's okay to journal about the mundane. It's okay to try out different formats, like digitally, visually. And it's okay to even arrange for journal destruction if that eases up some of the anxiety and allows us to actually journal honestly. Honestly, all this discussion has made it pretty clear to me that I should probably talk to a professional, and you probably should too if you find yourself seriously avoiding addressing your emotions. But we'll deal with that another time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, because I'll try to post again next week. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye. Okay, so I was gonna try to record a portion of it outside, but this dog will not stop barking, so I guess not. Okay, let's go.